This podcast is brought to you by connectFirst Credit Union. Today, we've got a pretty special show for you. Of course, we think that every week, but this one I think is particularly true. We're going to be talking a little bit about what makes Alberta a great place and literally how we're attracting some of the best talent in the world to come here. But before I go there, maybe to set things up a little bit, I just wanted to share a couple things about myself. Like, I was actually born here in Alberta. I was born in Edmonton, Alberta, in fact. Lived in Calgary as a young child and then moved away. Kind of did the national tour, so to speak, for the next 30 years of my life. I lived in Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, BC, found my way back to Alberta in 2008. And when I got here, I realized there was something special. Now, don't get me wrong. Canada's a great place. Every part of this country is a great place. But there's something special about Alberta, and it's hard to really explain what it is. It's, a lot of little things. It's the fact that when you walk into a grocery store and walk down the aisle, people smile at you and say hi. And they don't just keep their head down and walk right past you. It's a little bit of the sunshine that's out almost every day. It's a little bit about the fact that people dream big here and they think big, and they always have. And it's pretty incredible. When I got here in 2008, one of the things that I was fascinated with was how many people were literally building companies that were becoming something unexpected and often becoming empires. Certainly in the energy industry, we've seen a lot of great companies built here over the years. And I could, we all know that story. If you are in Alberta, you know the stories of the great energy companies. But I think one of the benefits of those companies that have built these big empires, quite frankly, the big companies, the Suncors, you name it, they've literally transformed their industries, and they continue to. Right now, a lot of Alberta-based energy companies are becoming sort of leaders in clean energy and the new industries of what's next. But beyond that, let's put that aside for a moment. There's actually a lot of incredible businesses based in this province that were built from nothing, whether it's some of the largest mutual fund providers in the country, whether it's often manufacturing unexpected items that are installed around the world. It's happening right here, yet these are stories we don't often tell. We don't often pay attention to, yet it's here. And part of this, I think, is because Albertans just are a little bit more risk takers. And maybe that's partly because we have a really educated workforce here. It's maybe because the average age of this province is just a little bit lower than the rest of the country. It's probably a combination of all those things, but it's like a recipe that's been cooked up that is really special. And so when we look ahead at the next decade, it's not hard to see how we've got all the makings of a really, really bright future. And although that story isn't written yet, we know the storytellers and those who are going to be authoring those stories of the next decade, they are here already. And that's pretty exciting. But I think the story I want to tell a little bit about connectFirst Credit Union is that we're placing all our bets on the future of this province. We believe in it. In fact, we don't just believe it, we want to be a part of it. And we know to do that, we need to attract the best and brightest in our industry to this province too. And they're coming. And that's what's pretty cool. And that's why I'm really excited to introduce you to our guest today. His name is Nick Wade. He's the Director of Product Strategies for connectFirst Credit Union. He just recently joined us last November, moving here from British Columbia. He, when everybody, thinks people don't move east once you're in BC, well, he left, living literally in a kind of paradise in the Lower Mainland to join us here. And he's joining us here because he sees a bright future. And without further ado, I got to introduce you, Nick. Nick, welcome to our show.
Wellington, thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Nick. Where you come from? What have you done in your career?
So I kind of like you didn't expect to go into banking. I started as a part-time teller just in the latter end of university in Kelowna, British Columbia. And really, got into banking, thought it was going to kind of be a Kickstarter career move, and a lot of people do that. The ability we have in our industry to help people was just one of those things that I started to really love. And it's kept me in it ever since. I started at a big Burgundy bank and then went into the credit union system in 2013. and have worked for a number of large credit unions within BC, and up until November when I made the move to connectFirst.
Let's talk about that for a second. I lived in BC. I'm familiar with the market. I know when I told people I was moving to Calgary, people say, "What's wrong with you? You're moving to Calgary." So tell us a little bit about that story. What did your friends, your family tell you?
So it's not my first time actually coming to Alberta. I was thinking about this moving out here, and I grew up in a small town on Vancouver Island, Cobble Hill, BC. I think there was about 20, 25 homes on our block. But there was actually 6 of us, people my age, people older and in their careers that came to Alberta. Alberta's always been this kind of beacon of opportunity, not just for people in British Columbia from small towns on Vancouver Island and people all across the country that have come to Alberta for the opportunity. And of course, that was largely driven off the oil boom. But I think there's just something about the culture of Alberta, the entrepreneurial spirit, you come here, you work hard, you get ahead. And so when we had that opportunity to have that conversation, I was not expecting to leave. I had a really good job, a fairly senior job in a credit union in the Lower Mainland, and kind of a dream for most people. And I'll never forget this. I had the opportunity to have a phone call with you, and you never turn those down. And after about 45 minutes, and I remember thinking, man, I could talk to this guy for hours about banking and where we want to go. But after that, I went, I want to go to Alberta. I want to go back. I want to go be a part of some of the amazing things that we're building at connectFirst. And, Alberta it's a great place to come in and get in on the ground floor as we're rebuilding the economy. And you think about it, you can go to an economy that's booming and growing and pay astronomical housing prices, or you can come to Alberta, be part of rebuilding this province as we look to diversify and do a number of amazing things. The standard of living here is amazing, and the housing's affordable. So there's a number of really good reasons. I came here for the opportunity at connectFirst. And you know what? Since I came, my phone was ringing. And there's a couple other people that came out with me. So there's, I think, a tremendous opportunity here. And I'm just so thrilled to be able to come back to Alberta and help be on the ground floor as we rebuild.
And from our perspective at connectFirst, of course, we're trying to reinvent ourselves. And one of the things we recognize is we needed to be the best at everything we did going forward. So we've made some big investments in technology so that we have a competitive technology suite to build off of. But the next step, of course, is building on that, is making sure we have the right products and services for our members. And we recognized we needed to bring in exceptional talent to help us build that. Now, you worked in the credit union system in the Lower Mainland. Some of Canada's most progressive and successful credit unions are based there. So you're coming here. When you look at sort of some of the products and services that are really going to be interesting to Albertans, can you share a little bit of insight, a little sneak peek for our audience?
Oh, I'd love to. So I think a couple of key things. The story of connectFirst is really the story of Alberta. So we are investing in ourselves, and we recently went and invested in new technology, new systems, a banking system, new online banking platform. And what that's given us the ability to do is to develop products much more quickly than a lot of people within the credit union system or even in large banks. So what we're working through, and the number one thing that I'm really focused on and my team's focused on, and we've got some really cool things coming, and I'm super excited to share those, is to simplify banking. You said this a number of times. Banking kind of sucks, right? It's not sexy. It never has been. I don't think it ever will be. But how do we make it simple and easy to understand? And that's what we're working through as we build out our new product shelf that we're going to launch as part of brand. But we're also looking at different ways to change it. It's not about the different, selling a checking account, a savings account. It's working with our members to help them understand how to use those different products and services together to help them achieve what's important to them. I think, to me, when I think about banking, I think financial success today can be automated. If you think about it, like with technology and the different opportunities we have. So we're focused on not only building some really competitive, market-leading potential products that we're going to be launching in the next month here, but we're also working to simplify it so that it makes it easier for our members to come in to get set up with the right products and services. Our job's not to sell you product by product by product. That's what large banks do. Our job is to show you how to use those different products and services by meeting with some of the amazing people we have in our organization to help you achieve what's important to you so that you can go to work and do what you do best. You get paid every 2 weeks. We can automate the way in which you're saving or paying down debt or doing whatever's important to you. So there's a number of really cool things we're working on. But those investments, as we reimagine connectFirst, that's what's enabling us to reinvest, to develop new product shelves at a much quicker pace than FIs I've worked for, or even other FIs in the future. And not just that, we can now be responsive to our members. So we're coming out with a new shelf. We're going to be launching that. We think it's going to add a tremendous amount of value, be really exciting for Albertans and for our members and potential members. But we're going to keep learning. We're going to keep innovating. We're going to start to take a much more proactive stance to make sure that we're continually looking and saying, what are those different products and services we can deliver for our members? How do we continue to deliver and add value? Some amazing, really exciting things coming.
It'd be very interesting, I think, to hear some of your experience from BC. One of the things we talked about on the show before is that credit unions have become quite substantial in places like Saskatchewan, British Columbia, Manitoba, Quebec. Yet Alberta credit unions have never taken sort of root the same way. I mean, there's still a really strong following, very loyal members we're very grateful to. But when we look ahead at the next decade, like we've called it, like we think this is going to be the decade of connectFirst Credit Union being a big part of helping Alberta rebuild. Why is it people in BC see something in credit unions like they do?
Credit unions in BC, there's a critical mass you hit where you start to have a certain group of membership that are starting to deal with you. And you think about it, credit union members talk about different credit unions. And I think you've had a little bit of this snowballing effect. You've also had a number of different credit unions that have gone very aggressively into the market to offer different types of products and services at different rates to drive it. But I think in BC, the credit union system's done a pretty good job. But I think our opportunity is to really help explain why a credit union. And I think I always get asked this question, credit union bank, what's the difference? And I think that's the opportunity we have in Alberta. Your customer coming in, you open a membership, you open an account. Those $5 or dollar in non-equity shares you purchase, you become an owner. And that ownership, that fundamentally changes the way in which we engage with you. You're now an owner. We have a fiduciary responsibility to do what's in your best interest. Versus if you go into a larger bank, they have a fiduciary responsibility to drive quarter-over-quarter profit for their shareholders.
Right on.
And it's not that there aren't some really great people within banks giving great advice, but we are fundamentally a partner with our members. And we are fundamentally there for them because we're owned by them. And I think in BC, there's been in part because of the volume of credit unions, geography, some of the different opportunities. I think in BC, it's quite established. But I think in Alberta, credit unions were created when banks backed off. And you think about larger banks that are trying to limit exposure to Alberta and trying to back away. I think now's the time more than ever for us to tell that story about why a credit union is so important. We are Alberta. We're doubling down on Alberta. We want more exposure to Alberta. We want to bank more Albertans. We want to help them achieve what's important to them. And so I think there's an incredible opportunity for us to expand the brand connectFirst. We want to do more business with as many as Albertans as possible, but to tell that story of credit union and to tell that story of why it's important, we offer all the same services as banks do. So a lot of people don't necessarily understand that we're a full-service FI, whether it's mutual funds, whether it's wealth, whether it's retirement planning, mortgages, loans, car loans, commercial loans, large commercial loans. We are a full-service FI, and I think our opportunity is to really help Albertans understand that, but to help them understand that we find different ways to make things work. Local money moves faster. In a lot of instances, we're actually quicker to turn around approvals or quick to yes. I think that's the opportunity. BC's been fairly established. There's a number of large credit unions, the Vancities, the Coasts of the world, First West, a multi-brand model similar from where we're coming from. I think now is our time. And I think the other thing to remember in BC, we talk about credit unions and assets under management and kind of the geeky banking part. But you have to remember that the average house price in Vancouver, has gone up since 2001 in the Greater Vancouver area, $100,000 net per year since 2001. So you think about what that's done to mortgage prices and valuations. So I think, in Alberta, we're actually quite a substantially sized credit union when you look at it. We've got over 120,000 members, 42 locations across the province. I think we have an opportunity to tell that story and to really expand the credit union brand within the province, but to really help Albertans understand we're here for them. We're not going anywhere. We want to bank more of you. And I think, when Albertans think about backing Albertans, they can do that by banking with connectFirst Credit Union.
I think you touched on this a little bit already, but some people think when you're dealing with a credit union, you've got to give something up. Somehow it's not going to be as good as what other banks or financial institutions can offer. What's your experience? And, as you're coming in, leading our product group, as we're reimagining the products and services we're bringing to our members, what are people going to have to give up if they deal with us?
They don't have to give up anything. In fact, you can call a number and talk to a human without pressing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
If you're lucky to get a human.
If you're lucky, right? You actually don't give up anything. You actually gain something. We are not en masse looking to close locations or push all our members to just deal with us digitally. We want to talk to our members. We want to talk to you more. And we want to make it easy and add the human side into banking. And I think for us, when I think about our product shelf, we offer for personal banking, for wealth management, the same or better than most of the big financial institutions out there. And actually the opposite. If you think about wealth management, for example, banks are pushing their proprietary funds. We have an open shelf. We can meet with you. We can have a conversation with you. We can position the funds or the products and services that are right for you. So there's ways in which we actually have a competitive advantage over a number of the larger financial institutions. What our job is, what my job is, and as we talk about making it brilliantly simple, we need to really help tell that story that we offer a full-service financial institution, and you don't give up anything by joining a credit union. You actually gain. And you've got that trusted partner that's going to be there with you, that will pick up the phone. I think about the number of members you and I have talked to over the last 3-4 months as we've made substantial investments in our business. Wellington's never that far away from our membership. That is the competitive advantage that credit unions have. So our members don't have to give up anything. They actually gain by banking with us. And the speed to service, I think that's where we're going to have a competitive advantage in the long run. As banks start to move back, close locations, we hear about that every day. Banks closing locations across the province. We're leaning into having humans interacting with our members. We're going against the grain a little bit, but we're doing it because that's what we're about. We are owned by Albertans. We're here for Albertans. And we need to tell that story, and this is part of it, that you don't give up anything. You actually gain a trusted partner that is truly, by the very nature of a credit union, on your side. And I think that's just a fundamentally different relationship than you can have with a bank.
I think it comes down to this then. We're building a credit union for the next decade. What's your thinking? What's your advice? What are you excited about in terms of what we're doing here for the next 10 years?
Couple key things. I think first and foremost, and I'm not going to pump your tires too much, but I think it's creating space within the organization to drive that continuous improvement mindset. It can always be better. We need to, do, learn, do again, try new things, iterate. And, I said the story of connectFirst is really the story of Alberta. We need to find different ways to grow our business. We need to reinvent ourselves to make sure that we are offering the right products and services, but we're engaging with our members, we're staying relevant with them. So I think we need to, as an organization, make sure that we continue the space that you and others in the organization have created to make it safe to innovate, to try new things, to deliver, but also to keep that focus, and not just as we get out and we kind of reestablish the business, we're launching this amazing new brand. We need to continually iterate and improve our business over and over and over again. I think in the 1980s and 90s, anyone could open credit unions. It was such a, credit unions and banks, the barrier to entry was so high. No one was coming into the market. You could open your doors and you could be successful. Margins were through the roof. It was relatively easy to be profitable. That's not the same way today. There are competitors coming in finding new, innovative ways to deliver value to our membership, our potential membership to Albertans. We need to be focused on how do we continually add value and challenge ourselves to do that. And that takes a very special kind of culture where it's okay to fail. We need to take smart risks. And that's part of the reason I came to connectFirst was this vision to create the best credit union in the world. And you don't do that by building once and riding it out. You do that by continually iterating and diversifying and finding new ways to add value to your membership. So I think that's the, kind of the first and primary thing. I think the second part, as we build out a credit union for the 2020s and we've got open banking and other things affecting our industry, our membership doesn't, necessarily, know what's coming that way. But I think from us internally, we need to be focused on how do we reinvent ourselves, not just as an FI. I think the meaning of a financial institution is going to change in the next 3 to 5 years. How we engage with our membership is going to change. So how do we relentlessly put our members at the forefront? A lot of organizations I've been a part of, fantastic organizations, great people, but we view our businesses from the inside out. And I think we have to flip that and view it from the outside in. And we're going through that journey and we're leaning into that. What does it mean to be a member? How do we put the member at the front, or our member customer at the front of everything? And so I think if we create that space through leadership, continually drive and challenge our people to move forward, as well as keep our members at the forefront and center of everything we do, I think those are the two key things that we really need to stay focused on, unwaveringly, and challenge ourselves to continue that way. And I think if we do that, we're going to be able to get to a really special place, not once, not twice, but 3 and 4 times as we continually improve and advance our business.
We are very happy, very grateful that you took the leap to join us here in Alberta, to join our team. Any final thoughts you want to share with our audience?
What I would say to our audience is we are Alberta. connectFirst is Alberta. We are reinventing ourselves. And I would challenge our audience to, if it's Albertans or people in the credit union space, to take a look at what's going on at connectFirst. Take a look at what's happening in Alberta. This is the ground floor of building something incredible. The future is bright in Alberta. We're already seeing things starting to come back. And I think now's the time, if you're looking for a job in Alberta or you're looking to find a new partner in banking, to take a look at connectFirst and the amazing things we have going on, because this is the ground floor. This is the time to get in. The future is incredibly bright. And I'm just thrilled and pumped to be part of the team, your team, and a member of connectFirst.
Right on, Nick. We are so excited about what we're going to be doing together. So right on. Next steps. So I really enjoyed that conversation. And of course I would. It's a little bit about connectFirst in our story, but we want to make sure you're hearing a little bit about what's exciting and what's happening here. But if there's a few takeaways from the conversation for me, one is there's still something really, really special about Alberta. And the fact that we can attract some of the best talent in the country, if not the world, who's still coming to this province, like Nick, who is one of probably Canada's leaders when it comes to product management, thinking about business strategies in the credit union movement. He chose to come here because he sees this bright future. 2, we're a credit union that's investing in Alberta's future right now. And while we're seeing headlines and news stories about other banks and financial institutions who are closing branches and leaving communities, we're doing the exact opposite. Right now, every day we're having conversations about where do we go next and how do we invest more in the future of this province so that we can be there to support more Albertans, more existing and future members to help them achieve their best success. And finally, I'd say the third thing that I really enjoyed about our conversation today was really talking about how, we're certainly an industry that's in transformation. Like we're seeing this digital transformation happening every day, and there's so much promise around what that technology can bring. And we have made major investments so that we have that technology. You're not giving up a thing to be dealing with the credit union, but you're gaining something that we believe other financial institutions are starting to move away from, is that we believe the best scenario for members, for Albertans, is when you have the best of technology and the best of humans, of people behind you. When you bring those things together, we think you do truly create something unique that's different, and that is going to be exactly what Albertans need in the decade ahead to be successful, to build the businesses of the future, to live their best lives, knowing that you can always have a conversation with someone who sincerely cares about, who sincerely believes in your best interests and not just the best interests of their financial institution. This is the organization we're building for the future. We are reinventing what a credit union looks like for the 2020s so that we can be here to support Alberta in our exciting future together. So with that, if you liked what you heard today, tell your friends, share it with your network, and please be sure to subscribe. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again on What's Next Alberta.